Hello and welcome to the Boys Upstairs show. This is Bucs vs. Lions.
Woo!
Shout out to America's team, the Detroit Lions, for winning the first playoff game in any of our lifetimes last week. Nobody thought that it was possible because nobody had seen it before. And it has now been done. They have another home playoff game this week at Ford Field against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who nobody thought was going to be hosting or going to a divisional playoff game either. So Lions are -6.5, totals 48.5.
Are you wearing a shirt, Martin?
I'm not. I'm driving shirtless.
Don't need one.
Fucking right.
Don't need it.
Fucking
You know who strikes me as the guy who drives shirtless just because he can? I'm on Ross St. Brown.
Oh, 100%. That is a great
Have you ever seen that guy without a tarp on? That being said, the Lions -6.5 is the way you're going to want to play this game. Shout out to America's team. Tommy already touched it. You know, Detroit was America's real city. Dallas never was America's city. There was a union city. They produced autos, the automobiles. That's truly where industry started in the United States. It has since waned off, but they gave us a football team that's been mediocre for years upon years. This year, the tides have turned. Shout out to the Detroit Lions and the city of Detroit for finally winning a playoff game after this incredible drought. I like them to keep the train going. I think 6.5 is. I think it's pretty fair. You don't want to make it 9.5 like the Niners and Packers game, just because that is a little bit too far fetched in my opinion. Just because the Bucs ain't nothing to play with. They're a solid squad. But yeah, give me the Lions -6.5. Wish I had some data. Only data I have is just a shirtless picture of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, what washboard? Absolutely washboard.
At, near the end, start of the game, it came to me and I was just like, you got to bet with the vibes. You can't deny the vibes that are in Detroit right now. Like, the stadium is fucking rocking. Like, you could tell by the lingo. Like, the players are just talking about it. They're like, we have to bring a win to these fans. Like, they deserve it. Like, it's bigger than just the team. Like, they're playing for the city right now. Like, they are trying to make history with this organization. So I feel like when you have that mentality behind your team, it's when it's more than football, like, it means more to the team than football. Like, they're gonna come out firing on all cylinders. Like, everything's gonna be ran with full effort, complete effort. Like, everything is gonna be done to a T. So I think it breaks my heart to go against Baker Mayfield, but I think the Detroit Lions are gonna cover.
The Lions finally did it. They won their first playoff game, so a little round of applause to them. They finally did it, and they've been blessed with a chance to play the Buccaneers in the divisional round of the playoff. I don't know how that happened. I don't think anyone would have guessed that would have happened. I don't think they would have thought that. But they have a chance to go right to the NFC Championship, and I think they're going to take it. That's why I'm taking the Lions. These teams already played this year. The Lions won 20-6, where Goff threw for over 350. He had 2 touchdowns, no picks. The Bucs, a lot of people didn't think they were going to be there, and I don't think they're going to make it much further. Their roster's pretty good. But Baker's a different animal home than he is away. He had a great game at home. Now he's going to Detroit after they just won their first playoff game in 30 years. I don't think it's going to be looking pretty. And I think the Lions, their defense showed that they're not as bad as it looked towards the end of the season. The offense is clicking. Goff is throwing rockets. Amon-Ra St. Brown is being Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Gibbs and Montgomery duo is amazing. Even Josh Reynolds was turning me up last game. But I love the over in this game. Lions offense, you can't hurt taking the over when the Lions are playing. But the Lions are going to win another home game and go to the NFC Championship.
Tampa has obviously been there in the playoffs. A lot of the Super Bowl champions a couple years ago, but I mean, it's a completely different team now. Obviously, there's no Tom Brady there in the playoffs last year. Like, you've got Baker at the helm now instead of Tom Brady. That makes a world of a difference. And Baker's been playing great football. But there was a nugget that I caught up on was that the Buccaneers have a very high in the league rated rush defense, but a very poor pass defense. And I think with the Lions, with their bread and butter and their offense, is keeping a balance of that run game and the pass game to open it up a little bit, especially when you've got like a 1-2 punch with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. It's hard to stop that. So I think the key here for the Bucs is if they can contain that run and take away short passes, that's how they're going to win this game. Because if you saw the Lions-Rams game, the Lions in credit to Ben Johnson and Campbell for the game planning there, they didn't try to go out there and make hero plays all day. They did what they were good at all year, which was running the ball downfield and then making short chunk plays to guys like Amon-Ra, who you can throw him on a slant or an in route and just quick routes, and he's going to get you 20 yards half the time, which if it works, and good for them. But I think if the Bucs can take that away, and it's clear that when the Lions have to deviate from that, they kind of struggle a little bit. When Goff has to improvise and kind of throw deeper downfield and doesn't have his first read there like St. Brown or Laporta open in the middle of the field, it gets a little bit more difficult for them. And with a secondary that is as bad as LA's, that kind of held them in check to 24 points for a Lions offense that had been so powerful all year. I think there's holes to be extracted, especially for a guy who's so experienced like Todd Bowles to pick up on there. And it's hard to say because with the Bucs last week, the Eagles were broken. I don't think there was any two ways about that. I picked the Eagles, but I thought that was more of like a luck thing going on. But it was clear the Eagles were broken. The Bucs were going to win that game. They were in cruise control the whole time. I think Baker's looked good. I really think he has. And I think they got lucky a little bit against the Eagles with just awful tackling, some bad scheming on defense. But I think Baker's got talent, and you've got Godwin, you've got Kate Otten, who's a good tight end, and obviously you've got Mike Evans, Rashad White. Like there's some weapons on that offense to be used. And when Baker's having a game, Baker's having a game, and when he's on it, he's going to be on, and it's hard to get him out of his zone. So I honestly think it's who comes out hotter in this game. So I'm gonna say the Bucs keep it closer here. I'm gonna take the Bucs plus 6.5. But I think if they could take away that run game, take away that short game, and make them try to stretch it out, then that would be huge for the Bucs. I think for the Lions, on the opposite, if they can shut down the big weapons like Evans and Godwin, White, that'll be big for them. But I think it's going to be a close one again. The Lions do enjoy playing close games, and I think coaching is gonna be a factor again because Dan Campbell, as we all know, he likes to put it on the line. He likes to risk it for the biscuit. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some 2-point conversions, some fourth and long attempts, some interesting things, which is why even as an NFC North rival, I like to watch the Lions because they're fun. You never really know what they're going to do. But I think this is going to be a grinder. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I don't think any team's going to come away from this easily. So I'm going to go Bucs plus 6.5.
Flipped a coin, went back and forth, but I do think that the Bucs hype is a little bit inflated because they played a broken team. And although the Lions let Stafford just slice and dice him, and Nick Mullins, my guy, twice, he threw for over 350 both times he played him at the end of the year. I think Baker's going to play well. I do think the Lions, though, that their offense with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, if you don't pressure him, he's a very good quarterback. It's going to be indoors in a dome. We know that he's best when the weather is good or the game is inside. I'm going to pick the Lions. I do think it's a good game, but I think they're going to cover, and I like them minus 6.5.
Going into this game in Detroit, as we said last weekend, and as people said, today, Ford Field is going to be absolutely rocking. I've never been alive for a divisional playoff game. Ford Field hit for the Lions. Ford Field has never had a divisional playoff game as a stadium. It's going to be an electric environment. I'm excited to watch this game for that reason, and also for the fact that Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield are two quarterbacks who've been hated, doubted, and, cast aside multiple times. These are two quarterbacks on different teams who were first overall picks in the draft. Than who the teams that drafted them. And I think that this game, is going to be a grinded out game, like Jake said. I think that 6.5, I know that the Lions are at home. I think 6.5 is a lot for the Bucs. And I think that the Bucs are going to cover 6.5. I'm taking the Bucs here. Baker threw for 3 touchdowns, 337 yards. I think that Baker has the weapons to cover 6.5 in this game. I know that the Lions are a much better running team. Rashad White has nothing on David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, but Baker has the weapons to throw it deep to Mike Evans. Mike Evans didn't play great in that game against the Eagles. He dropped 2 wide open deep passes that he should have caught. I think that if he locks in, which I know he will because he's a great wide receiver, that this team can cover 6.5. I do think the Lions will still win the game. I just want that to be known because this is the playoffs, so that's what matters. But we're picking spreads, 6.5. I'm taking the Bucs. Hey, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.